Hey guys, this one's going to be a little bit longer. It's not going to be a short. I'm still figuring this out. So, um, it's I want to talk, I want to make a video on marriage. So, um, there's a lot of things to consider when we're talking about marriage. But, I've always felt like when you decide to get married, you're now in the customer service business. And my whole job is to make my wife's life easier and better. And vice versa, right? Like we all have our roles, and it's not roles. There's not like a sexist or a slave, master slave type situation. It's true the way it's designed, right? Like I heard this analogy that was an amazing analogy. And imagine like you have the best food you could ever imagine, and you and your wife are sitting across the table from each other, and it's everything you both want. And you can eat as much as you want of it, and but instead of hands, your arms are forks and spoons. The challenge or the design is they're too long to be able to feed yourself. So you can scoop and get all the food you want, but you have to serve each other. And so the successful marriages enjoy their meal and have an amazing meal together and build some memories. And the selfish marriages, they starve to death, right? All this food in front of them, but they refuse to serve each other. And so men and husbands, you're probably gonna hit me, but men often they leverage one verse of it's controversial, but the submission topic. Wives, submit to your husbands. But they often forget the part about husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. And what did Christ do for the church? He gave up his life. He laid down his life for the church. Now I want just really think about it. Look yourselves in the mirror. Are we loving and serving to that level of laying down your life for your wife? And wives, are you submitting to your husband, not because he's forcing you to, but because he's an amazing leader and a Christ follower, and setting all the examples and guiding the family unit in the right direction? And again, it's not a husband forcing their wife, beating her into submission. That's not what it's about. It's about living a godly life and having that close personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And through your example and through your leadership, she wants to follow. She wants to submit. So it's not forcing her to. It like, think of a push-pull analogy. We're not pushing. By our example, it's pulling them with us, right? The wives are willingly submitting to the leadership of following Christ, which means, fellas, we have to live that example. We have to be God following. It drives me nuts when folks say, well, I believe in God. Because my rebuttal is always, well, so does the devil. The devil believes in God too. But do you believe in God? Do you have that relationship with Jesus? Are you a believer or are you a follower? Are you walking with him? And I remember my dad, when I got married, he wrote this thing out on a board I have that says, Jesus was watching, now walk with him. So, it's pretty powerful to think about that. But gentlemen, are we living that life that would be worthy of our wives to voluntarily submit and follow our leadership? And wives, are we doing the things we should be doing to submit to our husband and uplifting him and supporting him and all the things that we're required to do and called to do? Because often husbands and wives like to cherry pick what they want out of Scripture. It's not, and just let me, I guess, say it this way: it's not a buffet. You can't, I'll take a little bit of this. No, I don't like that. You keep that. Oh, I'll take a little bit of this. No, you keep that. Look, it's designed and proven successful by the Almighty if we follow. Like it's so incredibly simple, but what the world tries to tell you is that's not the right way. What the world tries to tell you is, you can feel good and do other things that you shouldn't be doing in a biblical marriage. So I just want to throw that out there. Self-reflect, have some insight, some introspection, and really assess how you guys communicate with each other. How do you guys support each other? How do you guys lift each other up and cover down for each other when the other needs some help? And it goes to all of it. It goes to the sex. It goes to the finances, and that's something me and my wife struggle with a lot, is the finance piece of that. I don't like spending money. My wife does, and so trying to meet in the middle there and come together with the finances so we can understand each other's perspectives and make those decisions as a unit, because two become one flesh, and the world tells you that's not how it has to be, and Jesus says it is. God says it is. So just think about that. Think about our lives. Think about the challenges you've had in your life, and go back to Scripture and really dive into it. And that's the playbook for life. Really, it deals with everything you go through. It deals with raising kids, marriage, the sex piece of it, the intimacy piece of it, the respect, the love, the sacrifice, the grace, forgiveness, self-control. Like everything we struggle with as humans, the playbook's right there. And just something to think about. Are we serving our spouse? Are we doing what we can to provide for our families? Are we doing everything we can to, the words that come out of our mouth, especially, that brings up another topic, but especially externally. Like, you should never be venting to friends and family about your marital drama, because you're gonna paint it in a way from your perspective that's probably not right, but usually it's one-sided. You're gonna paint your spouse in a light, and then be expected to hang out with these folks for Christmases, holidays, or get-togethers, when now all your spouses or your dirty laundry is hanging out there for them, right? So everyone needs perspective and opinions and advice at times, and that's where you find those good, godly, long-term married couples, part of the church, or doesn't have to be your church even. Say you have a wise acquaintance that was recommended, or that of, that they're good, godly folks, and they've proven it throughout the years, and they've really put each other first. And that's really what God calls us to do, is Him first, your spouse is second, which, by the way, is a covenant, not a contract, and then everything else after that. So yes, your spouse comes before the kids, always. It's tough to hear for folks, especially in blended families, but that's the hierarchy. That's the priorities. There's no better love to show your children is what a successful, united, one front marriage looks like. That's Christ following. So nobody's perfect. Nobody has a perfect marriage. but it's how how you respond in those challenging situations. Um, you don't want winners and losers in an argument when you're married. Why would I want my wife to be a loser? Why would my wife want me to be a loser? We often, in the heat of the moment, emotions get involved, and we forget that the enemy's, doing his work. And then you lay down in bed at night, and the enemy's putting thoughts in your head. But if it's the old analogy, you find what you're looking for. If you approach it with a positive attitude and think of the blessings and the good things about your spouse, you'll start to see them. But if you come in and you're negative and you think about the negative things, then that's all you start seeing is all the negative. You don't think about the good things. You don't even think about the years of sacrifice and commitment that you've dedicated to each other. You don't think about those times when you really needed something, and she or he surprised you with exactly what you needed in the moment, or sometimes a simple hug when you needed it, sometimes some flowers, sometimes something bigger. But just think about that. Approach it with a positive intent. Approach it with the blessings that we all have, and understand that you're on this planet to serve each other. Once you've gotten married, that's your duty. That's your job. That's your responsibility, and you can have an amazing marriage if you just dive into it, pour yourselves into it, and serve each other. Put the marriage first above all else. When you don't put the marriage first above all else, it'll cause conflict, it'll cause division, it'll cause resentment, all the things. So be very careful out. You need to guard your marriage. All right, guys, I'm not going to keep harping on it. You get the point. I'll probably do a lot more on this topic as well, as we learn and grow in our own marriage. Also, I want to get into some other things too, but with that, I'll leave you for the weekend. So have a good weekend, guys.